Legend of Total War here, and today we're doing another Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires campaign review, this time covering Heinrich Kemmler. So Heinrich starts his campaign at Blackstone Post, which is the same starting location he had towards the end of Total War Warhammer 2, because at the beginning of it, he actually started in Manfred von Carstein's faction, but halfway through split from Manfred and formed his own faction, the Barrow Legion. You start at war with Artois, a minor Bretonnian faction, and essentially just a punching bag for you. No trick start here for Heinrich Kemmler, very straightforward, beat these guys up, and then move on from there. But an interesting thing to note is that Heinrich has the potential for one of the most aggressive starts in the game across any of the legendary lords, because your Raise the Dead mechanic allows you to pick up a hell of a lot of units on your way to Gisero, because you cross through 3 different provinces. The Blackstone Post province has 5 units for you to recruit. Now it's only trashy units, but at the beginning of the game you're mostly going up against trash anyway. You've got Montfort over here with an additional 5. And then when you land at Gisero, you'll have an additional 5. Now, there's 15 total units that you can raise from the dead, but your army is already essentially 12 units when you attach this hero into the army, meaning that you'll be at 17 units here, and then only be able to pick up 3 from here. So the other 5 you have to recruit after you've captured it and recruit another lord. But recruiting another lord shouldn't deplete too much of your funds. You're probably not going to have heaps, but having 2 armies will make the battle at Artois super easy, and then give you a position from which to strike at Lewin-Leoncourt, who is going to be focused on dealing with the vampire accounts in the area rather than you, because Mousillon starts at Waltham because they managed to snatch Longwy away from Couronne, and Lewin-Leoncourt is no longer focused on fighting Marienburg, so you need to take your attention towards him immediately. Lewin-Leoncourt will capture Longwy on turn 1. It's possible for you to capture it as soon as you get in that area, but you can also wait for Lewin-Leoncourt to leave the area and invade Mousillon, and then go and snatch his capital while he's distracted. But it's entirely up to you which way you want to go about it. Whatever the case is, taking out Lewin-Leoncourt as early as possible is going to give you bonus relations with Mousillon, as long as they don't get wiped out, and also good relations with the demon factions out here and Norska, because as the Lich Master, you have a diplomatic relation bonus plus 30 with Warriors of Chaos, Demons of Chaos, Beastmen, and Norska, meaning you can actually establish yourself friendships with them. Now, there's a funny thing, in Warhammer 2, you would have this same sort of trait, but when Archaon showed up, he automatically declared war on you anyway, so it was only useful against like Norscan factions, but this is more useful now since the Chaos factions don't automatically declare war on you, and also not having to deal with their wrath early on gives you more time to deal with your enemies in this general area here. So as Heinrich Kemmler, setting yourself up in this general area and then moving down south is probably the best way to go, and it leads to a relatively easy campaign. Aggressive start leads to a pretty smooth campaign overall, unless something goes belly up like an endgame crisis. Overall, I'd say that this is a pretty moderately easy campaign, but fairly fun for the vampire counts. Vampire counts are definitely not one of my favorite factions, so I can't like wholeheartedly recommend playing as Heinrich Kemmler. It really comes down to, if you enjoy playing as the vampire counts, then I think Heinrich Kemmler's got a good campaign for you. Now, looking at Heinrich Kemmler himself, he's got a lot of really good things going with him. So his trait, the Wanderer, enables replenishment in foreign territory, Winds of Magic cost reduction minus 10% for Law of Vampires, and ability Lord of Undeath, giving you an additional unit to use in every single one of the battles that you fight with Heinrich Kemmler. Then you've got, in his unique line over here, Eternal Bastion, which will make Krell not degrade like a permanent unit in the army, even if he ends up getting killed in one battle, you just bring him back in the next one. So that's very useful ability there, because he's very strong. Perpetual Regeneration is great for Cairn Wraiths and Hex Wraiths, giving them horrible regeneration so they can revive their own units, and then passive regeneration for Heinrich Kemmler. You got Barrow Kings over here, giving you huge bonuses for White Kings, unlocking them in all provinces. Hero Action Success Chance plus 10%, which is really good for farming Blood Kisses, and Hero Capacity plus 2 for White Kings. Seeker of Secrets, another good one. Post-battle chance of stealing magic item drop chance, campaign movement range. I think the campaign movement range is usually the one that I like the most out of that, but if you're really into getting lots of magical items, then that's obviously very useful as well. White Blade, giving the devastating flanker for Cairn Wraiths and Hex Wraiths, bonus versus infantry for Cairn Wraiths and Hex Wraiths. And then you've got Return of the Lich Master, which gives you Winds of Magic Power Reserve when changing plus 25%, which is bleh. But passive ability, Greater Arcane Conduit, and Raise the Dead cost minus 35% is really good. There is a lot of things that you can do to keep reducing your Raise the Dead cost as Heinrich Kemmler, because you've got minus 10% in your faction tree there. You got minus 35% there, and you've got reduced there as well, and even in your items, if you get all of them, you can raise the dead even cheaper. So eventually it's possible for Heinrich Kemmler to essentially recruit raise the dead units almost for free. And then I think there's some technology as well. So you can make this insanely cheap with Heinrich Kemmler. And then he's got a little bit of adjustment to his actual spell line, which at the end, instead of having Arcane Conduit, he's got Lawmaster, Law of Vampires. So Heinrich Kemmler can cast Wind of Death cheaper than any other lord in the game. I think he can cast it for just 12 Winds of Magic, which is insanely powerful. Especially given that he's got Greater Arcane Conduit, giving it Spell Mastery plus 10%. So Heinrich Kemmler himself, very powerful Legendary Lord. The biggest weakness he has over other vampires is his melee capabilities are a little bit lacking by comparison, and his only mount is just a horse, or dead horse. Looking at the faction trait of Lich Master, we've already gone through most of it, but you also get experience gain plus 25% for Necromancer heroes, which I think that's a bit of a downgrade on what they used to get, because I think they used to get reduced upkeep cost minus 50%, so it was really cheap to have Necromancer heroes. And then you're also immune to Chaos Undivided Corruption and Chaos Waste Attrition, which I don't think is that big of a deal when playing as the vampire accounts, but you know, if there's a lot of it in your area, then I guess it'll come in handy. Overall, reasonable campaign, not one of my favorites, but also not one of my least favorites either. So if you're really into vampire accounts, I can mildly recommend Heinrich Kemmler. And in terms of difficulty, I'd probably recommend playing this on very hard difficulty or higher, or else you'll probably end up getting bored, because the AI is not going to put up that much of a fight. And even if you're fairly new to the game, at minimum sort of hard difficulty, because the vampire accounts are very powerful. And even when you lose battles, as long as you don't get fully wiped out, as in you're sitting inside of a settlement or in force march, most of your units come back from the dead anyway, because there's so many ways in which you can just increase the rate at which that happens. Like if we have a look here at Vampiric Corruption, you know, that increases the chance that that'll occur. And with Heinrich Kemmler, he's got further increases through, I think it's Thrallmaster, yeah, raise the dead cost minus plus 15%. So very strong faction with a lot of wiggle room for making mistakes. Anyway, that's the end of this one here, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Heinrich Kemmler's campaign, whether you agree or disagree with my assessment here. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.